3, 2, 1.
Greetings and salutations from Hoagies and Hops and Chili Water here at 42nd and Boulevard in Indianapolis. My name is Jake Murray. That is Derek Schultz, who we forgot what he looks like, but he's back apparently. Derek
missed one show.
No, you're all over the place now. You're like Mr. Big Time. I was in the other day.
Mr. Big Time.
The other day, I was at one of the local TV stations. They're like, "Hey, do you have a number for Derek Schultz? We're trying to get a hold of him. He's hard to get a hold of." I'm like, "Hard to get a hold of?"
People know where to find me.
Okay. I'm like, sure. For what reason would you need to talk to Derek? Well, he's just got a lot going on.
I mean, as long as, I don't like people reaching out to me directly, but if they go through Josh, that's fine.
Josh?
My representative.
Okay.
If they go through my representative, then that's fine.
Yeah. Is that how Katie Koleski gets a hold of you?
I didn't always have a representative, Jake. I didn't have one when I was 14 years old.
Katie didn't need a representative to get a hold of you because she never tried. There's a lot to unpack, a lot to talk about. We have, obviously, still, Indiana is the best team in college football. The best team in college basketball, Purdue getting set to get underway. The Colts, the trade deadline, the disaster in Pittsburgh and the turnovers, and then the story of the Indiana Pacers, which is fascinating to me, Derek, because we're coming off by taping this on Tuesday morning of the game of the return of Myles Turner and the Milwaukee Bucks and the Giannis shot in the end. And the fact that right now, you, Vince, myself, Rakestraw, we have a decent chance of starting at point guard or in the backcourt for the Pacers sometime in the next week, 2 weeks. But yet, nonetheless, they continued to show the same style of looking up and going, I can't believe they're in this game. No moral victories. I get that. But Turner was booed relentlessly. It was an ugly return, but it was a win for Milwaukee.
Yeah. Bummer to have it. It was a great game. To have it end the way that it did with one of the best players in the world making one of the best players in the world type play. Giannis is right, and he's kind of at the peak of his powers right now. But I always love, the NBA regular season is so long and tedious and monotonous. I love when you have atmospheres like we had last night where, look, I don't love the fact that things ended the way that they did with Turner and the Pacers. I don't love the fact that he's become this polarizing figure and he's become kind of a villain and you basically flush 10 years down the toilet. We can get into, who's at fault for that happening. But I do love the drama of it all, right? And there was a lot of drama in last night's game. I guess what sort of bothers me about the Turner situation is that I feel like, and this is coming from somebody that defended him a lot. I think you did too. I think we were pretty fair. I mean, we try to be fair on this show, right? I think we were pretty fair with Myles Turner over the years, but Aquarian Schultz goes back to 2011, so we saw the entire, arc of Myles Turner from this skinny 19-year-old kid from Texas who they were, bidding on becoming a really good player in the league when he was barely out of high school.
Remember, initially it was like he was going to be a wing scorer type. He was a three-point shooter that had size, etc., right?
Yeah, and he became what he ended up becoming, which was a rock-solid NBA player. He was never a star or anything like that, but certainly you could do a lot worse than the Pacers did with whatever pick that was that pick 15 or 11 or 12 or, whatever it was with Myles Turner and turned into an impactful player that played meaningful games. We didn't know if Myles Turner was going to play meaningful games in Indianapolis, and he ended up doing that the last two seasons with the conference finals run in 24 and then, of course, the NBA finals run last year. But what bothers me about the situation is that I think, in a way, Turner could have just walked away, taken the bag, and everybody would have been cool with it. It would have been a completely defensible decision for him to just say, hey, you know what, I'm moving on. Milwaukee gave me the offer that I wanted. The Pacers weren't willing to give it. Thanks for the memories, and go. He could have chosen path A, but instead path B was chosen because he felt so slighted and aggrieved by the Pacers' offer, even if there was a legitimate gripe there, that he took pot shots on the way out and sort of went scorched earth. I mean, during the welcome back video last night, I'm like, am I supposed to feel bad for Myles Turner that he's doing the book closing thing and he's doing this at the end? Like, he was hamming it up. He was leaning into the villain aspect, so I don't have any sympathy.
Here's the thing about Myles Turner, okay? I don't know Myles Turner well. I've been around him. I've talked with him. I've done events with him. It's disingenuous to say that means that I know him. But I think in some ways Myles Turner is emotionally, I'll use the word immature. That sounds like a knock. Emotionally fragile. Emotional, quite frankly. I think he is somebody that, more so than a lot of people, taps into and is very in feel at all times with his emotions. And at times as a player, that helped him and fueled him. Maybe sometimes it hurt him. But Derek, in this situation, I think what it comes down to is I don't know that he really knew how to act. And so he went with the extreme of of being kind of the villain, yes, of like, hey, look, I'm going to, you guys can boo me all you want. This doesn't bother me. I'm done with it. I'm over, whatever. I think he just wanted to turn the page and move on from all of it. I don't think he knew how to handle everything that came with it. But to me, it comes down to this. And in all seriousness here, have you ever had a situation, whether it be with your parents, a coworker, your wife, where you have a major disagreement and an argument that lasts for a couple of days where your feelings are truly hurt?
Of course.
Okay. And then you say, and eventually you work over it, right? You get past it, you talk it out, you get past it, and you're like, look, let's just never talk about this again and move on. But the next time that there is like some sort of a friction between you and that person, that little wound of what you promised that you had flushed aside kind of comes back in, does it not?
It never completely goes away.
Right.
Forgive but don't forget
and you're
type
like,
thing.
You're like, oh, so we are going to go there.
Yeah.
And then you bring
You
it
play
back
that
up.
card.
And, it's like, and then, in the case of Myles Turner, that is the DeAndre Ayton signing. I really do think that when the Pacers made an offer sheet to DeAndre Ayton and basically said, we're going to go out and upgrade our position from Myles Turner, and then DeAndre Ayton, Phoenix matches it, and you have to go back to Myles Turner and go, we were just kidding. That was just, we were playing poker to get Phoenix to overpay for a guy, whatever it might be. Myles Turner moved on from that, and he played through that, and he played very well through that. But I think once it again came down to a negotiating situation, when he saw a number that was well below what he anticipated after everything he'd been through, then that DeAndre Ayton slight came back up, and he's never been able to get over it. I think that's exactly what happened.
And all of that is fine, Jake. But at the end of the day, he won. So how much do you need to spike the football, right? He won. He got paid. He got what he wanted out of this situation. So I guess I don't understand why he has to keep kind of spiking the football.
I don't know that, and look, it's not. I'm not here to defend Myles Turner per se. I'm being rather just simply explanatory. I do agree with him to an extent on this, and that is that there is now the preconceived notion that he's spiking the football. So anything he says, people go, see, he's saying that as a knock on the Pacers. He's been asked why he left. And I think it comes down to this. I think it comes down to there are people within the front office of the Pacers that Myles Turner felt like had slighted him. And so as a result of that, with every opportunity, he wanted to make sure that they are well aware of the fact that he felt slighted by it. And where he has erred is when he says the Pacers, and he might mean the brass of the Pacers, okay? Fans hear that as the 18,000 people inside Gainbridge Fieldhouse that pay their hard-earned money, and everybody that's on the floor, and Aaron Neesmith and Adrian Nimhart and everybody else. And he didn't differentiate the two, and that's where he erred.
Yeah, I think, too, is that you can't simultaneously be the victim while being the villain.
That's fair.
And he has chosen to be the villain, which is fine, and that is defensible if he wants to do that. But then he can't come back and say, oh, it's disappointing that I got booed during my welcome video and all that. Part of me thinks that Myles Turner leaned into this because being the villain with the Pacers has now given him a relevance that he really never had here, that he seemingly wanted, right? Where if he wanted to be the guy and if he wanted to be the star and all of that, he never really got the opportunity to come to make good on that because other guys kept jumping over him. Remember, after the Paul George trade, we thought, okay, now it's Turner's team. It very quickly became Oladipo's team. And then Oladipo goes, and then it very quickly becomes Tyrese Halliburton's team. And if Turner wanted to be in the limelight and in the spotlight, getting booed by 18,000 people, I know it's negative attention, but it's attention. And deep down, I think that's also, as much as he craved getting paid and getting the bag, which he did, and good for him, he won, right?
Getting the bag.
I think.
Or is this a new? I know what getting the bag means, but I've never heard you say it before.
Yeah, that's what the kids say. No.
Well, I know, but you're not a kid.
Well, I think he probably wanted a 6 or 7 year deal, but he ended up getting the bag. instead, which is fine. He still ended up getting the bag, even if it
wanted-
wasn't 6-7 years.
He had a dollar amount that he was expecting, and they came well below that dollar amount. Now, the Pacers obviously thought that they were throwing out a starting point number and that there would be a counter offer made. But Milwaukee apparently or allegedly said to Myles Turner, we're going to give you an offer, but you have X amount of time to accept it, and you cannot use it as leverage to another franchise or else it comes off the board. And so when Indiana made their offer, they had no idea there was another offer out there. So they threw out their number. It was well off of what Milwaukee had, and he just said, that's it.
Yeah, so Cliff's Notes version. Did Myles Turner have legitimate gripes with the Pacers for
Why don't people say
slights?
sack? He took the sack. I think of like a brown paper bag, but people call it like a sack. It's like a sack of money.
I don't know. People
Or like-
don't usually use the term sack
Why?
as much anymore.
No,
I learned
sometimes
this.
I do. Like you got sack, it's double meaning, right?
Well, remember
I mean, you got hoomspa and you're getting paid. You're getting paid because you got hoomspa.
Remember when we
Right.
first started this show with ISC, we did a endorsement deal for Hot Cup of Schultz, and there were several entities that were interested in that, and we ended up doing a deal where we did a hot bag of Schultz or a hot sack of Schultz. Hot sack of Schultz was 3 hot bags. And we did some polling on people like, how do you feel about the term
Shouldn't the
sack?
sack be 2 bags?
And
I mean,
a lot of that
technically
was negative because they thought of sack like, I don't want to get into details about that. They thought of sack in that way. So we kind of
Well, there
pivoted
was that around
towards
the time
bag.
that there was that one player that had a really unique injury?
The
Remember
ruptured
that?
testicle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was around that time, right?
Yeah.
And people
Can I tell you this? This legitimately happened to me. So the Children's Museum of Indianapolis, the outdoor portion, closed this weekend. This weekend was the last time, and my son loves the wiffle ball field. And they have these like plastic kind of hard balls that are in there that have little holes in them. And I'm usually pitcher to a lot of the kids because I could just hammer the strike zone, and then they launch the ball, and James launches it or whatever. So I'm pitching to all these kids. I'm like, out there for 90 minutes. And this 12-year-old gets up there. And he's got like a flat-brimmed hat, and he's got he looks like he plays travel baseball. And he laced one, and it hit me directly on the right testicle, like right at it. And it was plastic, so if it was a baseball, Jake, I would have had to go to the hospital. Like, it was a direct hit. Like, there was no thigh, no phone, no wallet. And I was down for a little bit, and one of the parents goes, "Oh, I think it hit his phone. I think it hit his phone." I'm doubled over, and I'm like, "Did not hit my phone, my man."
all you had to say on this show, okay, was it hit me in the groin. Everyone knows what you're talking about. Everyone.
Yeah, but
right?
it didn't hit all of the groin. It hit a targeted area.
I'm not even going to go into specifics of ability to laser on target. I'm not even going to go there. I'm just saying, speaking in generalities is fine.
Well, and later that night, I lifted up and I looked just to see, and there was some purpling and some bruising, and now it's okay. But it was super sensitive. Like Sunday and Monday, like this is the first day that I've been able to kind of like sit and be okay.
I'd like to thank Bailey and Wood and apologize if I could for their sponsorship and continued partnership with this program. It's an honor.
I don't know
quite
why
frankly.
this is a problem.
It's not a problem.
All guys have had this happen before. It's the injury that you definitely don't want. And luckily, I was able to bounce back in a couple of days, but I was down for the count for a few
Chili Water
days.
for hosting us as well. Bailey and Wood, the presenting sponsor, the very best when it comes to the best mortgage rates, and a family-owned business that is giving back within the community. We see it every year in their golf outing. They are, and what you want when you're talking about somebody that you are partnering your finances with, your money with, helping you get into your home. You want somebody that feels like friend and family. That's what you get from Bailey and Wood. And it goes without saying when it comes to their philanthropy and believing in people, excuse me, their partnership with this show, even with that kind of talk.
They're the best. Yeah, Bailey and Wood is the best. I'm sure Mike Wood has had an
I got a
injury like
dryness
that.
in
He
my
pitches
lung.
to his son. I'm sure, it happens sometimes. So besides sports and things like that and talking about parenthood and all these other things, we talk about issues that face men, and that is certainly a major issue that pops up sometimes. Getting direct hits. So next time I'll wear something there.
Playing wiffle ball at the Children's Museum.
Pacers
That
now
seems on the outer edge of the age range. Does it
1-6, and you had mentioned injuries. That thankfully this was not a groin
Unbelievable.
injury. This was a hamstring injury, but Quentin Jackson left the game last night.
When Quentin Jackson left the game.
My God.
Let me tell you what was interesting. When Quentin Jackson left the game, he didn't just leave the game. He left the game.
Yeah.
Like they were on the floor, and he was just like, "That's it," and he
walked off. Yeah, like he knew. I think like your own body,
totally.
though, right?
Johnny Furphy also. Well, I'm not sure what the exact injury was for Johnny Furphy. It looked I thought it was ankle at first. He was definitely favoring his foot, and then he hobbles off. And then they had a guy at the end of the game. They had a guy that was on a 10-day, and I still don't know his name.
They've had 5 in-game injuries in their first 7 games.
Let's get to know the 10-day guy.
Like that is not even conceivable. If 5 in-game injuries had to leave the game in 7 games over the course of a season, that's like 50 in-game injuries. NBA roster is not that big.
Derek, can you name for me the 10-day injury guy?
No,
or 10-day contract guy?
I don't even know. I'm trying to keep up myself.
You don't know?
No, I'm trying to keep up.
I
know
name.
Quentin Jackson because he's been around for a couple of
I'm
years.
going to give you his name. I want you to tell me where he went to college.
Okay.
Jeremiah Robinson Earl.
I don't know. JRE?
Correct.
Yeah.
25 years old. Jeremiah Robinson Earl.
Big school? Little school?
Big.
Power 4?
Yes.
Now I feel bad.
Power 4.
So ACC, Big 12, Big 10 SEC.
No.
Well, it's Power 5 in basketball because Big East.
Yes.
Oh, Big East. Okay, he's a Big East guy. JRE. I don't recognize it. And I watch Butler, even though I've watched less Butler lately, sadly.
You want a hint on this?
Yeah.
A big-time marquee top-level program of the last 15 years that you completely forget was a big-time top-level program. And you forget the window of dominance that they enjoyed.
Nova.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, because they made the wrong hire after Jay Wright. That happens.
Did they? Because sometimes you have to make the wrong hire after a legend. You got to make the wrong hire so that you can then get the right hire.
Yeah.
Because a lot of guys don't want to be, you know what I mean? I've always felt, Derek, for example, Brian Kelly out at LSU, right?
Yep.
LSU, and then if you look Penn State, those 2 jobs, to me, LSU's a better job than Penn State. And the reason why is because at LSU, what legendary coach are you following? Are you living up to?
Yeah, because
Les Miles,
you
Nick
can't really
Saban,
claim Saban when Alabama claims Saban, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
And at Penn State, it's a clear guy.
Yeah.
Everything you do, it's Joe Pa did this, Joe Pa did that,
No,
Joe
right.
Pa did this.
Yeah.
It's hard to live up to that. In Indiana, from a basketball standpoint, the thing that has been hard is whether you're talking about Tom Crean or Mike Woodson or Archie Miller or Mike Davis, any of them. It was how do they? Coach Knight did this, Coach Knight did that,
Yeah.
Coach. The constant when you have a legend that is still like hanging over a program, it makes it a challenge for anybody to go in and put their footprint on it. And now you have, you got Penn State open, you got LSU open, Auburn open, Florida is Florida open?
Florida's
yet?
open. Yep.
Okay, yeah.
FSU is not, but likely, I think
Clemson
will be. Hell, you know what? How long has Cristobal been at Miami?
9 years.
That long?
I think.
Yeah,
maybe not that long.
I mean, there is no. If Miami goes 8-4 or something this year, then I think you have to fire. Like there is no excuse for Miami to not be in the playoff. Like they can't keep doing this where they start hot and then they start underachieving again.
I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus here, but as somebody who is a fan of Clemson, how in the world do you have multiple NFL players on the defense and you're giving up 45 points at home to Duke?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why Clemson and Penn State.
They're 3 and 5.
Clemson
Derek.
and Penn State. I don't know why things happened the way that they did, but yeah, they happen. We come back on the show. We will talk. We'll talk football. We'll mix in some college football. Indiana keeps on keeping on.
Do we have heroes to get to?
We got the college football first rankings tonight, right?
That's right.
Yeah, first poll. We're taping this early on Tuesday morning, and then we almost never don't lead Colts. We didn't lead Colts today, so we got to talk Colts.
Indiana. I have a proclamation that's going to ruffle feathers about Indiana when it comes to the college football playoffs.
Vince will save this one because if Jake ends up being wrong, we'll sound the trumpet.
Oh, I'll be wrong, but I won't.
What?
I'll explain.
It's Corey and Schultz from Chili Water, Brewing, Taproom, and Hoagies and Hops here on the ISC Sports Network.
into tonight?
You know we cover all sports in Central Indiana. Hop in. It's going to be a long night.
Bailey & Wood Mortgage Lender, proud partner of News 8 Sports Hummer.
Hey, AC!
Nice snap.
Mortgage is a snap! Duh!
Bailey & Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Welcome back, Query and Schultz, presented by Bailey & Wood Financial Group here on the ISC Sports Network. Alongside Jay Query, I'm Derek Schultz. Hi, thank you so much to our friends at Bailey & Wood Financial Group, 855-350-HOME, BAWFG.com, to get pre-approved for a home mortgage. Market's kicking back up again with interest rates taking a little bit of a dip. Maybe you want to refi. You could do so as well with Mike Wood and his terrific team. 5-star customer service at Bailey & Wood Financial Group. I feel so bad for Mike. He was Did you watch any of that Thursday night game between the Ravens and the Dolphins? Mike was at that game, huge Dolphins guy. And, boy, that is some tough sledding right now to be a Dolphins fan. That was a miserable performance by them.
Sorry. I'm eating our hero of the week.
I know. It doesn't look delicious.
Derek, how has Miami not made a coaching change by now?
Yeah, good question. I think right now just the dynamic of the NFL is that, you know why the trade deadline, why trades rarely happen? NFL teams are much more cognizant of not looking like they're tanking than the NBA or Major League Baseball, where it's like fire sale Major League Baseball before the trade deadline, and the NBA teams tank all the time. And I don't know why NFL – it would be completely defensible for the Dolphins to just trade all their good players right now, right? Why not? You know, your window has closed. You know, the Tua situation just didn't work out. But, man, it's just a complete mess down there. 855-350-HOME, BAWFG.com. We really appreciate them. Let's get to our Hoagie and Hero of the Week because I don't want to wait any longer on this.
This is fabulous.
So I want to make sure that I have this right because Christina texted me earlier this morning about what this one is. So she is making this is the Philly special.
Unbelievable.
So what do you got on here? Some banana pep on this bad boy? I think you got some very best sauce on here. This looks like it's wit. This looks delicious. I'm just going to
It's got a tomato
and dive right in.
sauce to it as well. Perfect. Now, my buddy Rob Whitaker asked me the other day. He said, is it the Zaire that's your favorite sandwich there? And I said, yes. This is very, very, very closely right there with it. I mean, really, really good. Really good. And the warmth of the sandwich, it just it melts before you even take a bite of it.
This
right?
almost like is to me, this is a take on like an Italiano cheesesteak, where you have some elements of this in here. Like there's a little parm, and you're right. There's a tomato base in here. We got some banana pep. We got some onion. Really, really good. Philly special. So they have, you can just get a regular cheesesteak, which is also delicious. But you have the Zaire, you've got the Philly special, you've got the very best. There are several specialty cheesesteaks. You can get a chicken Philly. You've gotten the chicken Philly here, haven't you? Mm-hmm. I feel like I've been with you when we've gone on one of our buddy dates where you've gotten the chicken Philly.
Try not to touch.
Yeah. Why? We're best buds. That's what we do all the time. Also, we have our chili water brew of the week. Blood on the Tracks. This is one of their core beers. Blood Orange IPA. It is really good and a great fall beer. Oh, man. The sweetness of the orange, it's very pronounced. I don't know. I'm still doing this with my hand.
It's
doing
perfect
the Italian
with the
thing.
sandwich, actually.
I don't know why I'm doing it. It's a good mix, yeah. We should do we should get Alexis or somebody at Chili Water and do, like, pairings. They should do a Sando Brew pairing night. You ever go – I know you loathe these places, but you and Shannon are in these social circles because you're important and you have Pacers floor seats and you're prominent figures. People in your tax bracket love to do those like wine tasting / and then you have like a filet or whatever. You have a meal with it. Are you really? Okay. Well, people normally in your tax bracket like to do that. They do them up in, they come down from Geist and they go to some fancy restaurant or whatever else. We should do more of like an everyman's. Let's take a cold or hot Sando. Let's pair it with a delicious chili water brew.
Do you think of
and
Shannon,
charge like $40 a head or whatever and just eat and drink our faces off?
Do you think we're bougie?
Do I think you and Shannon are bougie? Mm-hmm. No, I don't think you guys are bougie at all, but I think you could be if you wanted to be because you have the name recognition to be bougie. Well, Shannon, given who her father is and the whole deal, and let's face it, I mean, she's great too. I always say the joke that I always make is that Jake was Shannon's +1 to our wedding because that's how much Ashley and I like Shannon. And then you have a little bit of cachet from whatever it was, the WIBC days or whatever you used to be 20 years ago, or IndyCar. The IndyCar doinks still love you. So you kind of have that going for you.
I'm sure they're thrilled that you reference him as that. Do we have a hero of the week, by the way?
We do. Jordan's going to like this. My hero of the week is just the sport of baseball. That's my hero. This is admittedly subjective, but I feel like baseball was in the conversation in this World Series, the national conversation, for the first time in a while. Rangers Diamondbacks was not that long ago. That was not even in the realm of the national conversation at all. I don't know outside of the state of Texas or the state of Arizona or the Phoenix metro area that anybody cared about that World Series whatsoever. I mean, it was a miserable matchup. I think the Rangers won in, 6 games or something? The Diamondbacks won like 86 games, and they ran all the way to the World Series. Nobody remembers a single thing about any of them. This was so memorable. Folks seemed to really care. They seemed to tune in. The numbers backed that up in a big way. It outdrew the NBA Finals. You had star power. You had really fun. Toronto was such a fun team to watch. You had Kirk, who's like 5'2", 250, and he's running around the base. I mean, it was a lot of Vlad, Shohei. It was amazing. And, after declining for a long time, it just feels like baseball is back on the upswing again. Kids care about it. The baseball card industry seems to be popping again, the hobby.
Let me tell you,
it feels like
Derek,
it's coming back.
Let me tell you where baseball, I'm going to compare it to 2 different sports in 2 different ways, okay? The first is an analogy or a comparison that I think I've made before. But several years ago, Derek, and I can't exactly remember when it was or how or why it was, but it was when we were doing the old show on the radio at NDE. And I remember one day, and I mentioned this, I think, last week, Pete the Planner, Peter Dunn, sent a tweet, whatever it was called back then, that said, I can't explain it, but I feel like I'm getting fatigued with the NFL. And all of these people were responding like, oh, my gosh, it's not just me. And this was before, it was right on the cusp of, but it was right before the kneeling controversies and all the politics that came into the NFL. So I can tell you that would have been around 2016, 17, 18, somewhere in there. But either way, and I remember us talking about, Derek, the fact that the NFL was starting to fall a little bit of victim to oversaturation. And I know that sounds crazy for the 800-pound gorilla, but it went from there's a game on Thursday night to there's games on Sunday night, and then there's later in the year there's games on Saturday and Monday, and then there's draft and there's schedule release and all of it. You couldn't get away from it. And it suffered a dip, the NFL did, for a bit there. There was a fatigue factor. Now it's come back over that, and that's not a factor anymore. But then the other case that I would compare it to would be the NHL and hockey, because in 1994, Sega Genesis 94 came out with a hockey game. This sounds archaic to most people, I realize, but every college kid in America suddenly knew hockey. They knew Pavel Bure, and they knew these players because they were playing it on their Sega, and all of these college guys were like, man, I can't wait for the hockey season because now I'm all in. And then hockey went on a lockout, and it was gone. Major League Baseball had gone through this period where there was this fatigue factor and people had just fallen out of vogue with it. And then for whatever reason, the opposite of what happened with the NFL happened this year. All of a sudden, I don't know why or how, but in the postseason, I'm like, I'm really going to watch the postseason. And the Blue Jays are the team that I really honed in on from the very beginning because I liked them as a kid. And it was, to your point, Derek, incredibly entertaining and fun, and I loved it. And my worry now is that now that I, along with other people, for whatever reason, simultaneously this year pushed all in, and Major League Baseball rewarded us with an incredible postseason and heartbreak and drama, and that Game 7 was unbelievable, and an 18-inning game, and all of it. And I feel like now, inevitably, it's going to head into a lockout because the Dodgers and their payroll and $700 million over 2 guys, and, the Toronto Blue Jays were the plucky underdog story that everybody was rooting for, and they got the 5th highest payroll in Major League Baseball. Yeah. But it happens to be $130 million or whatever behind the Dodgers. So are they headed towards a work stoppage? Are they headed towards a lockout? Are they headed towards a salary cap? Kind of feels that way. And that would be a disappointment and a bummer because I think people are now excited for spring training.
Yeah, hopefully they don't allow that to happen. But, I've said that before, and bad things are allowed to happen a bunch when players and owners get into a disagreement. I'm not sure how I feel about it, honestly, and maybe as a Yankee fan, my perspective is a little bit different, but I've always felt that the real problem in baseball is not the Dodgers or the Cubs or the Yankees. It's the Pirates and the Guardians and the Athletics and the teams that just don't even try whatsoever. Look,
Athletics are going to be really good in 3 years.
I know that there
Mark
is
my words right here. Athletics, 3 years from now, really good.
I know that obviously there's a huge revenue disparity between what those teams bring in, but if you look at the percentage of what they spend, I think some of those owners are more interested in pocketing revenue-sharing checks than they are trying to put a competitive team
We're
on the field.
turning into 2029, into 2030, new decade. Athletics will be one of the best teams in baseball.
Think about how good, despite their limitations, the Guardians have been. Now think about if they would invest 20% more in that roster, what could have been? Could they have been a World Series team last year? They almost
could be
said
like
they were
what
in the
the
ALCS.
Athletics are going to be in 5 years.
Could they have been a World Series team this year? And they want to cry poor all the time, but then they're not doing anything to upgrade their roster. People are mad about the Dodgers going for it. Dodgers go for it because they can.
No, I get it.
I'm
the Yankees,
not
they
mad
didn't,
about
though.
them. No, I mean the Yankees did in a way. I mean they've been more, cautious about spending, which sounds ridiculous because they're still spending gobs and gobs of money. But yeah, I think a happy medium needs to be found, and it's going to be difficult to find. As much as I'm kind of hesitant on a cap, I really want a floor, and you can't have the floor without the cap. Because I think there needs to be a minimum that we force these teams to spend, because it's outrageous to me that the Pirates have like a $70 million payroll. That is outrageous. I think it's even less than that, honestly. But I don't know. That's my rant. That's my baseball rant. Hero of the week, though, because I think it was. I just think it was a tremendous, tremendous World Series. I'm not trying to be too trapped in the moment, and really fun to watch. And if you don't like it, then there's something wrong with you.
Here's my World Series take. You ready? Game 7. And I get it. You can't overturn that call. I get it. And it's unbelievable. Umpire. I mean, he's got his. I get it. I will go to my grave. My name is Jake Query. I'm a 53-year-old male that's predicting right now that the Oakland Athletics will be one of the best teams in Major League Baseball in the 2029-2030 season. And then they'll probably lose all of their talent to the New York Yankees or the Los Angeles Dodgers. But nonetheless, I digress. I'm here to tell you this. And you can sit here and tell me I'm wrong and show me all kinds of different angles and zoom-ins and whatever else. And I totally understand that in baseball the rule says not that the tie goes to a runner, but that when there is a tie, it is the subjective call of the umpire that is the official call. I get it. I get all of that. I was dismayed and disappointed that they didn't take a longer, further review on it, because I am convinced the runner was safe for the Toronto Blue Jays in the bottom of the ninth in that game, and the Blue Jays are your world champions. But there's no way they were going to overturn that call. I totally get it. But if you watch it, and yes, you watch it and you go, dude, you're a moron. The catcher's foot is right there, and it's before the runner gets there. I understand. But Smith's foot was before the ball was in his glove. He then lifts his right foot up, realizes it's not on the plate, but instead of sliding it backwards, he lifts it up to do this, to go back down on the plate, and in the time that it is elevated off of the plate is the time that the run comes in to score. Blue Jays world champions. I know it's never going to be overturned. I know you can show me 10,000 AI videos. Everything's AI now. Don't believe any of that crap. Blue Jays won the World Series, just like the Oakland Athletics are probably going to do in 2029-2030. But for right now, I was so proud of my Blue Jays. Diehard fan for 9 weeks. Big fan Lloyd Mosby, Jesse Barfield, George Ding Dong Bell days, Dave Stieb, Dave Stewart later, Ricky Henderson, Joe Carter, Roberto Alomar, Devin White. Listen, I got the ticket stub. I got the keychain. Derek, I went on the Blue Jays website after listening for an hour and a half of post-game radio of the Blue Jays after Game 7 and just pouring tears into my Molson like the rest of Canada. And I went and bought a T-shirt because I was proud of the effort they put forth, and they got screwed on that call.
There was a guy on Twitter, and I wish I remember who this was, because it was not somebody in Indianapolis, but they said, man, like the NBA Finals, that was an all-time classic World Series, but I can't help but feeling like the wrong team won. And this is somebody, I don't care. In fact, I found the Blue Jays kind of annoying with the whole, Yankees lose that they carried on for like 2-3 weeks. So I was kind of sort of leaning towards the Dodgers, even though Don Mattingly is the bench coach with the Blue Jays.
Right.
And that would have been cool. But I felt the same way. I mean, I felt like the Blue Jays were actually the better team. But that's baseball. That's baseball, Susan, right? I mean, the better team doesn't always win.
Having a team get their 8-9 hitters to extend innings and at-bats for them is pretty fun.
The only league where the best team wins 95% of the time is the NBA. That's right. How I really feel. In baseball, it's not, certainly not in hockey. I mean, hockey, it's like, I don't know if it's even 60% of the time.
The thing about the
wins.
Dodgers,
It's so random.
The rotation in general, you're just like, oh my gosh.
They had the better pitcher on the mound a better starter on the mound in every game, and they still almost lost.
Totally.
It's insane. I mean, Yasevich was amazing, and Gossman is really good, but that's it. They don't have any but Shane Bieber.
Can I go with one other Major League Baseball opinion?
Yeah.
I don't follow baseball the way you do historically, right? But it seems as though a real secret in the World Series, if you're going to the World Series, give me a team off the top of your head, Derek, a franchise.
Yankees.
No, not aside from the Yankees, a random
You
franchise.
didn't say aside from the Yankees.
Give me a franchise that would otherwise have no business being in the World Series.
Not Dodgers. Royals.
Royals. If you're the Kansas City Royals, here is your secret.
They actually went to 2 World Series not that
Todd
long ago.
Violet, diehard fan.
Yeah, that's right.
If you're the Kansas City Royals, here's the secret. When you get to the World Series, you go out and get some 25-year-old pitcher that's made 8 career Major League starts, and they become unhittable in the World Series.
Yeah.
This happens every year because people are not familiar with their stuff. Now, Yasevich, I realize, was this is a blue-chip level player coming in, but not a lot of experience, right? You go all the way back to Jarrett Wright when he was in Cleveland, or Livan Hernandez when he was in Florida, or Britt Reams when he had to fill in St. Louis. You get these young pitchers that get into the postseason, and suddenly they look like career-long Cy Young Award winners, when in reality, they're good pitchers. Batters just aren't used to their stuff, and it throws people off, and it happens every year seemingly in the postseason.
Remember Jarrett Wright with Cleveland? Do you remember that?
Did I just say?
Yeah. Oh, did you list Jarrett Wright? I didn't hear Jarrett Wright.
Everybody else in here said.
Did he say
they
Jarrett
just
Wright?
high-fived me when I said Jarrett Wright. Yes.
I didn't hear you say Jarrett Wright.
Yes.
So you do remember Jarrett Wright?
Yeah, he went to
good.
the Yankees, became a fat guy, right?
Yeah, he didn't really do much after that. What postseason was that? Is that 97 or 95?
96 or 7, something like that, yeah.
I think it was 97 because they played the Marlins. I don't think it was 95 they lost to
Basically,
the Braves.
33 years before the Athletics breakthrough.
And then Livan Hernandez. No, but I think part of it too, Jake, is that the young guys like Cam Schlitter against the Red Sox, you don't know what you don't know. You're almost too ignorant of the moment that you can just go out there and
that's true too.
And just do it because you've never lived it before,
right.
Whereas all these veteran guys have. But this is amazing. We're going to go into segment 3 without mentioning the Colts. Have we ever gone in the fall? Have we ever gone to a third segment without talking about the Colts?
Probably. That year they were like 0-12.
Okay, that goes back to the radio show, Jake. That goes way back. We come back. We will talk
a lot
Colts.
of people go way
we
back
will talk
this.
college football. I might just skip quick hits because now what time is it on here? Okay, yeah, we're into like the final 20 minutes of the show here because we've been rambling about testicle injuries.
We got to talk about the fact that Thursday night IU Indy gets underway in men's basketball. We got to talk about the fact that IU Indy has the hottest volleyball team. At least I'm talking about they're playing. Don't take that the wrong way. Attractive people, but I'm just saying they are on a hot streak like nobody's business.
Who would have thought of that? just keep
Well,
going. They're the hottest team. It's a common sports term. It sounds more creepy to clarify that that's not what you meant.
Maybe I shouldn't have clarified, but when you're 53, you got to be careful.
That is
right?
true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and given your past history too.
Excuse me?
Sorry, keep going.
The hottest volleyball team in terms of a win streak and heading into the postseason is IU Indy, and there's a very good chance that you might be able to see conference tournament action in Indianapolis. Men's basketball, women's basketball, both of them already have played games. One of them with a big-time win. All kinds of sports to talk about. Soccer as well. All of it coming up as well in the IU Indy Jags report.
Yeah, we come back, though. We'll get back into the Colts, back into football, but plenty to get to. Stick around. It is episode 260, Fort Wayne area code of Query and Schultz here on the ISC Sports Network.
At Bailey & Wood, we pride
Hey, welcome back to Query and Schultz. We are here at Hoagies and Hops and Chili Water, and look who I have right here. Right here before me, it is. Can you do that again, please? Meow. I don't think Jaguars meow, Derek. They roar. The Jaguars roar just like the basketball season is roaring into action for IU Indy. And if you've been over near the campus, the old tennis center, the arena is coming along nicely. And before you know it, you're going to have the opportunity right there on campus in a brand new arena to see Division I college basketball, but you still get that opportunity starting Thursday night, IU Indy men's basketball home opener against LIU. This is going to be taking place at the Jungle Thursday. That is November the 6th. And they are coming off of a game where they went to Ohio State, lost 118-102.
Played well.
The Big Ten played well, absolutely. And this Jaguars team, I'm telling you right now, get on board with IU Indy men's basketball because they are going to score a ton of points. They're going to be fast-paced. They are going to shoot I'm talking regular outside shot, fast-paced shots. If you want to watch exhilarating basketball at a high pace where they are absolutely gassing out the opponent in terms of the pace in which they're playing, IU Indy is the ticket. And their games in the Jungle all season long, iuindyjags.com/tickets. You see it right there. That is the place for you to buy your tickets for IU Indy. And with the Jags report also, keep this in mind, volleyball, I just mentioned, the best team in the Horizon League. They have had multiple win streaks this year, and they have an opportunity to become the number 2 seed and host. All they got to do is be the 1 or 2 seed. They're currently the 2 seed. Finishing in the top 2 in the Horizon League will allow them to host the Horizon League Championships on November 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. So how cool is that? You want to go down in volleyball, I've seen it. The Indy Ignite up in Fishers. I know how popular volleyball is, especially with young girls here in the area. Awesome opportunity to see Division I conference tournament action potentially November 21st, 22nd, and 23rd on the campus at IU Indy. But still 4 matches left for the IU Indy Jaguars women's volleyball team, so you have plenty of chance to see them and make sure they secure that top 2 seed, which will allow them to host. Women's basketball beat Indiana State to start things off. Congratulations, by the way. And that Haley Smith had 15-7 in the win. They are on the road. They will be at Northwestern coming up tomorrow night. But again, you can find their scheduling information and tickets at iuindyjags.com. And soccer did fall to Cleveland State over the course of the week. They are at Oakland. Men's soccer at Oakland coming up later tonight. As a matter of fact, they are there. But IU Indy, you see it right there, iuindyjags.com/tickets for all the upcoming events. Division I athletes, Division I sports, many of them from right here in central Indiana, and a new arena coming soon. But right now, the Jungle is the place to be for all of it, Derek.
That's right.
Can you give me one more? It's more of a roar. No, it's a
iuindyjags.com/tickets for
it.
more. Let's talk Colts. And I just think that there were so many flukish elements of Sunday's loss to Pittsburgh. The fact that they turned the ball over 6 times, the fact that it's in Pittsburgh where they historically it's been a disaster for them anyway. The Pittsburgh defense played way better than it's played at any point during this season. Maybe this will come back to bite me, Jake, but I think Sunday was just a bad day, bad timing. You caught Pittsburgh with their backs against the wall, season on the line. Colts were due for a stinker, and it was a combination of all of those things. I would be highly surprised if we looked at the Colts 10 weeks from now and said, hey, they peaked in week 8 of the season, and it was all downhill from there. I think it was just a bad afternoon, some bad timing, and some things that likely won't occur again, at least not on a regular basis.
I don't disagree with that, Derek, but here's what the Colts have done, okay? They're 7-2. They're by all account, they are in the driver's seat to win the division. But what they did by going to Pittsburgh, and I agree with you, I think this is probably the exception to the rule. I think the rule is that they are a team with a very good offensive line, with a very smart quarterback, where they have punched the right buttons each time, and each button that they push, the elevator is working and takes them right where they need to go. I think all of that is true. And they have a dynamic player in the backfield in Jonathan Taylor, who oftentimes it's late in games when they have the lead where he is salting away clock, where then things, he gets his big chunks. Daniel Jones going into that game in Pittsburgh had taken nearly 3/4 of his snaps in the NFL this year with the lead. And it's different when you're playing from behind and defenses know what you're going to do. And that offensive line was porous, and Shane Steichen in his playbook, I think got away a little bit too much from Jonathan Taylor because he's used to running him late second and then third and fourth quarters. And he needed to establish that earlier to open things up a little bit. But neither here nor there. By losing this game, which is not a huge, egregious loss, and for that matter, turning the ball over 6 times, Derek, you're still, mathematically speaking, you lost it by a score. We can make the argument it was further than that.
Yeah. It wasn't as close as the final score indicated.
They go in to take on now a kind of tricky Atlanta team in Germany. Atlanta is good defensively. Atlanta does have some offensive weapons. You would think the Colts have the advantage, but stranger things have happened when they go overseas. Obviously, they're 0-2 over there. But with all of that said, what you've done now is knowing that after you go to Germany, you've got the bye and then at Kansas City. You now have shifted a little bit the focus and the attention on this Atlanta game, because if they would have beaten Pittsburgh and then go and stub their toe against Atlanta, you go, they got the bye, and then Kansas City's the big one. Now, all of a sudden, you run the risk of having a 2-game skid going into the bye, knowing Kansas City is lurking. Then things mentally change a little bit. So it does put a little bit more emphasis on this game with the Falcons than I think we've had before. By the way,
completely agree.
How old were you when you noticed for the first time that the Falcons logo is an F?
How old am I right now? 42. Yeah.
Have you never noticed that?
No. I did not know that.
Is that intentional, or is that like one of those little –
I did not know that.
Like, am I imagining things?
I did not know that.
Can you look up their logo?
No, I want to talk Colts because we waited 40 minutes into the show to talk Colts, so I wanted to talk Colts. Can I tell you something that you know what really grinds my gears? This drives me crazy, and this has been the case forever. Every time the Colts commit a turnover, it's, why didn't they run the ball? Why didn't they run the ball? Why didn't you give the ball to Jonathan Taylor? I don't know, because Taylor did nothing for the first 15 carries and the offensive line was a joke? Were you guys complaining about Shane Steichen's play calling the first 8 games of the year when the Colts were the 2007 Patriots level efficient? I'm just so tired of it. It goes back to the Reich era. I remember they played a game against Tampa Bay with Reich. I think this was the 21 season because they were good. And it was I think it was Carson Wentz, and Carson Wentz threw for like 300 yards. Like, Tampa Bay decided, look, you are not going to run against us. You are not going to run. We're going to give you everything else, but you are not going to run. And the Colts threw for like 350 yards or something in that day, and Wentz had, 3 touchdowns. It was one of his better performances. He did throw a couple of interceptions too. And afterwards, instead of talking about the fact that the Colts turned the ball over 4 times, it was, well, why do they run more? Why do they run? Run. The worst thing that ever happened to this team was the run the damn ball thing with the hats and everything else that they ended up doing with that. And I just think it's such a lazy way of looking at it. Like, all turnovers are avoidable. Just all you have to do is run the ball. That's it. Like, it could be looked at in a vacuum.
This is an incredible drawing by
the Steelers knew that they wanted to try to take some of that away. And they've got dudes that get paid too. And they took it away, and Taylor didn't have a great game, and the offensive line was awful. The tackles especially. I mean, Matt Gonzalez had a rough game too, but you feel for him because of what he's going through personally with losing his dad, so you don't want to rake him over the coals for it. But it was it was the worst game of the season for the offensive line, and I just don't think that, handing the ball to Taylor 40 times is going to really change anything.
This is a really good drawing.
Colts have a plan of how they want to push this offense forward, and it's to pass. What is it? Pass to score.
That's a really good drawing by me.
Or pass to win, run to score.
Look at that
type deal.
Do you see that? That's the Falcons logo. And
that actually is pretty solid.
That's an F. Do you see
pass to win, run to score, and that's their philosophy. And sometimes that's not going to be a winning philosophy. You got to give the Steelers credit. I mean, I guess you can kind of see it, but
that's what it is.
I'm dumb enough where I didn't know that the Milwaukee Brewers was an M and a B until
the Atlanta Hawks
they brought
epiphany?
back that logo.
Do you remember the Atlanta Hawks epiphany that I shared with you?
Yeah.
Well, you thought the Hawks logo was a Pac-Man?
I thought it was a Pac-Man. I thought it was 2 wings and a little basketball, and instead that's a hawk. That's not a basketball. It's his eyeball.
Yeah.
I never knew that. I thought it was 2 wings like hugging a little basketball.
Got 2 subtle things. They've got the F of the Falcons, which it's a great drawing, and then they've got the Hawks that Derek thought was Pac-Man.
And then the Montreal I thought was just an M, but it's a Expos. ELB, right?
MEB, Montreal Expos Baseball.
Yeah, that's what it was. MEB, yeah. Did you watch that documentary, by the way, Who Killed the Expos? Do you have Netflix?
No.
I just watched it the other day. It was good.
Is it good?
I didn't know any of the history about. I knew they needed a new stadium. They didn't get it, but I didn't know like the politics behind it and all that. I didn't know like Jeffrey Loria was involved in that.
Really?
I didn't remember that at all. Yeah, and that was like my peak
Are
baseball
they ever getting another team?
era.
Did they say?
I mean, they talked about it, but why would you? I don't know. Baseball needs to contract some teams.
I would agree with that. Who would you contract? Give me the 4 you contract.
Expand.
Tell me right now.
To be totally honest, even though they have had success, the Rays would be one that I would contract. I don't think there's any interest for baseball in that market. I think a lot of the people that attend those games are snowbirds that are there to see the Red Sox or Yankees
That's right.
play.
Okay. Second?
Well, the Athletics I would have before they moved, and now I think it's
They're
worth
gonna be
giving.
really
It's
good
worth giving them
in
a chance.
29-30.
It's worth giving them a chance in Vegas.
Okay.
The Pirates have been so bad for so long, but they're so historically relevant
Right,
that it would
that's
be
fair.
a travesty to contract a team like that. But yeah, the Athletics and Rays are the two that come to mind for me.
Diamondbacks?
Yeah, they won a World Series.
Who
and
cares? Nobody cares.
Phoenix is a booming metropolis, and I do think
Same
that
thing
there's
as-
there's
same
some
thing as the
support.
Tampa area, though.
It's a four-sport
Nobody's from
town
there, right?
That's fair. Yeah, I think it's kind of a transient place as well.
Rockies?
God, the
Got a gr-
Rockies.
They got
Those
a great
poor fans,
stadium, and
they
people
actually
love going to
support
their
that
games.
team. Yeah, they
do.
support
Well,
that team out
they
there.
It's like a big social event.
Yeah.
So they go for that, right?
Yeah. But hangover for the Colts. Let's close the book. This is the least that we've ever talked about the Colts on the show. Again, and we'll bring this up. Come back to me if the Colts season goes off the rails here. I will wear it. But I didn't see anything that happened Sunday that can't easily be chalked up to just one of those afternoons.
Schedule gets a little bit tougher, admittedly. Okay.
It's the trips that are tough.
Jacksonville's a little
Pittsburgh,
bit
Germany,
tricky.
Seattle. Those are tough trips.
They still have on their schedule. I mean, look, Seattle, San Francisco. We'll take one of the Jags games. Okay, Kansas City. So they got 4 tricky games in there. You know
At
what?
Houston?
For the sake of it, I'll sit. I
don't think Houston's very good,
Yeah.
but
for the
at
sake
Houston-
of it, just to be fun here, for the point that I'm making, I'll throw Atlanta in there as a tricky game. Let's say all 5 of those, the roof collapses. That puts them at 10-7. That wins the division, and they get in the playoffs. What you're doing now is, and what they need to do, is continue to stay focused on getting the seed that allows them to play at Lucas Oil Stadium for as long as possible in the playoffs, so you do not have to go to at Kansas City or at Buffalo in late December, early January. That's the obvious story there. You okay there?
Sorry, I thought you were still going. I thought I had a sneeze. I think it's passing. Wait. I think it's passing.
If you sneeze while you
All right,
turn
it's
towards
passed.
me, I will be livid.
It's passed.
Okay.
We come back
That
to
would
the
have been
show.
a quick hit right there.
It made my eyes water, though. It's like getting hit right on the right ball. It just, the trauma, the shock waves that it sends through your body.
Did you get a stomach ache after that?
No, I didn't get a stomach
You don't
ache.
get a stomach ache? Do you
No.
get the sweats?
Did I sweat from that? No.
No, after you have testicular trauma, do you get either like the sweats or stomach
It felt like getting the wind knocked out of me.
Okay.
That's what it sort of felt like.
Okay.
But the problem is that it's a big target, so and it caught a lot of the plate. if that makes sense, caught a lot of the plate. We come back on the show, Chateau Kitchen's Buy It or Bull Bleep, and we will wrap up episode 260 of Query and Schultz here on the ISC Sports Network.
Hey, AC, which games are we going to tonight?
You know we cover all sports in Central Indiana. Hop in, it's going to be a long night.
Bailey and Wood Mortgage Lender, proud partner of News 8 Sports Hummer.
Hey, AC,
Nice snap.
mortgages and a snap. Duh.
Bailey and Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Welcome back, final time. Query and Schultz, presented by Bailey and Wood Financial Group. Thanks to Vince and Rake in the truck. Thank you to Jordan and Brant being right here, having to stare at us and listen to this show the entire time, and
Can you imagine that?
maybe think about their own past traumas when it comes to groin injuries.
Okay.
Our friends at Chateau Kitchens bring you Buy It or Bull Bleep. What we do with that is I give a statement, Jake and I go back and forth whether we buy it or it's Bull Bleep. Before we do that, though, congratulations, Stephen Moore, 6 years as the owner of Chateau Kitchens. Unfortunately, that came in the wake of his father's passing. His father started Chateau Kitchens back in 2006. So in January, Chateau will celebrate 20 years as a business. Isn't that cool? 20 years
Very cool.
in business. So congrats to all our friends. I mean, we'll save the cakes and the celebrations and all of that for when that happens here in a couple of months. But there's a reason why they've been in business that long. It's because they do unbelievable in-home transformations, and they are honest and transparent, and they work with you the entire way. They're designers, and from that process very early on, and simple things like picking out a faucet, picking out your tile, you do that with one of Chateau's designers, and then you work with their project manager for when the walls are ready to come down and when you're ready to remodel that kitchen or remodel that bathroom, and they walk you through every step of the way. They are the least intrusive that they can possibly be. I know home renovations can sometimes be very intrusive when walls are down in your house and wires are hanging from the walls and all of those things, but the process has been so seamless and easy with Chateau Kitchens. We've done a basement, we've done a bathroom, we've done a kitchen. We've basically transformed our entire house with Chateau Kitchens and cannot recommend them highly enough. But don't take my word for it. Go to Instagram, go to Facebook, see their before and after pictures at Chateau Kitchens. They do amazing, amazing work. Congratulations to Steve on 6 years, and a pre-congratulations on Chateau as a group for 20. Let's get into Buy It or Bold Bleep. Statement 1, the Colts will win at least 12 games. Buy It or Bold Bleep. That means they'd have
3
to go
more losses.
5-3 the rest of the way.
Yeah, I buy that.
I think they'll win exactly 12. Even seeing them lose 3 more times, Jake, I don't think – I think we're prone to overreact whenever – I just think they were due. They were due to have a bad afternoon while the Steelers were due to have a good afternoon, and those things combined, and Pittsburgh is a hellish place for them to play. Mike Tomlin's a Hall of Fame coach. They've got big names all over the field with Watt and Ramsey, all those guys, Hayward. I mean, and those guys all played to that level on Sunday. So I'm just going to take it for what it was.
Listen, what we need to find out, Derek, and there's no way to know this until probably the Atlanta game, and that is, did Pittsburgh expose Indianapolis or did Pittsburgh simply catch them on a bad day? And I think it's the latter. But there is some reason to be hesitant that it could be the former. I don't think that's the case. We're going to find out against Atlanta, assuming that they come out and they get back to clicking and their offense is going the way it was, then I think you look at it and you say, okay, that was one where you burn the tape and you move on.
It does make you yank up the brake a little bit on the 2025 Colts Express, right? And maybe we needed that yanked back a little bit. Statement number 2, 12-0 Ohio State, 12-0 Indiana for the Big Ten Championship in December. Buy it or Bold Bleep?
Buy it, but let me say this, and I'm going to look right at this camera. By the time this comes out, the college football rankings will probably be released. Ohio State is probably the best team in college football. They have the most talent. When they need to, they can throw down like nobody's business, right, offensively. But Indiana has the most impressive win of the year in college football by going to Oregon and winning, not just like eking it out, but winning at Oregon, making a statement in Oregon. And Indiana has not let off the accelerator in other games, and they have not had games. The Iowa game would be the one where you'd say, okay, they had to kind of snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. But as of right now, on this, the 3rd or 4th day, whatever we are, of November, in the first college football rankings that come out, Indiana should be ranked the number 1 team in the country. Indiana should get the number 1 ranking based on body of work to this point. That's not to say that Ohio State will not surpass them. It's not to say that means they would beat Ohio State in the Big Ten title game, because I've been telling you all along what's going to happen in the Big Ten title game. Mark it down right now, lock it in. Ohio State beats Indiana, Big Ten title game, Lucas Oil Stadium, December 6th. Guarantee it. And then Indiana and Kurt Signetti and the Fighting Hoosiers turn around and beat Ohio State in the national championship game.
The one thing I worry about, and it hasn't mattered up until this point, the talent gap, right? I'm
Understood.
And talent.
Indiana wears down. This is all assuming everybody stays healthy. But yes, Indiana wears down, and all of a sudden 5 stars.
I think there are some holes in the talent argument, because Elijah Surratt being a 2-star recruit, who cares?
Right.
Elijah Surratt is now a great player. Aiden Fisher being who he was as a recruit, who cares? He's now a great frontline future NFL player. But when anybody goes up against Ohio State, it's just hard to even compare how
I can't argue
loaded
that.
they are,
I
and
can't argue that.
that's what I'm concerned about. But is Indiana firmly? Can Indiana win the national championship? Abso-freaking-lutely. And there's no way they're getting touched from here. There's nobody left on their schedule that's going to beat them before December. It would be shocking. I mean, Maryland might have been the best game that they have left, and they stuffed them in a garbage disposal.
Yeah.
55-10. What I love about them is they're putting Mendoza's brother in garbage time, and some people are tuning in and being like, "Why is Mendoza still in?" Yeah. It's like, guys, they're brothers. They got the same last name.
I think there are some that send that out to troll people.
Oh, no, I do. I think some of it's Starkey. Some of the Indiana people that send it out. I actually didn't have a third one. You have a third one? Take good care of your testes. I mean, I don't know. What should we end with today?
Biter Bullschultz, the Pacers are being overly cautious and pessimistic about the return of keyline players because at this point, what's it worth anyway?
I'll say this. I still think that because it's Siakam and Nesmith and those guys are going to fight like hell, I have a hard time believing that the Pacers are going to be like the worst team in the NBA.
I continue to love Aaron Nesmith, by the way.
It feels like
I'm going to get a pair of highlighter yellow New Balance shoes because Aaron Nesmith wears them.
It feels like that.
I don't know where I'll wear them.
It's just not in the cards.
But I'll look like Aaron Nesmith.
I feel for the Pacers because this could have been I firmly believe that fully healthy, this was like a 44-45 win team. I really, really believe that.
Derek.
And we'll never know because these injuries are unovercomable.
Listen, sometimes you look at things and it's hard to understand in the moment, and then you look back later and you go, wow. And I'm telling you, this year probably is going to be tough. But over the last handful of games, I've seen some moves and some work with both the left and right hand out of Jarris Walker where I'm like, okay, I'm starting to see something here.
Yeah.
Now, I don't mean Jarris Walker could be like what Nesmith was a year ago. I mean, a really good piece for them. And Isaiah Jackson's starting to show a little bit as well. Now, I'm not going off one game. You got to see it on you got to see it continuing. But Jay Huff, I got a long way to go before I'm a believer there. But I do think that they have two players in those two, maybe Talon Peter as well. But they are going to be so incredibly deep once Halliburton does come back, and assuming and hoping that he's healthy at 90% of what he once was, and you get everybody else from last year's team back and healthy, they are going to be very, very good. But it's going to be a long wait before then. You got to trust the process.
One last thing I wanted to say before we exit stage left here at Chili Water. Hoagies and Hops is collecting non-perishables, and they'll take 25% off your food order until SNAP benefits are back. So if you bring in a non-perishable item or items, hopefully it's plural, 25% off your food order.
That's amazing.
Right here at Hoagies and Hops.
Not surprising from Christine and the group,
No,
but that's amazingly kind.
Of course not. Thank you to our gracious hosts, Chili Water Brewing and Hoagies and Hops, our home to tape this show every single Tuesday. Thank you to watching. Thank you to our presenting sponsors, Bailey & Wood Financial Group, as well as Chateau Kitchens and IU Indy Athletics. For Rake and Vince, for Jordan and Brant, he's Jake. I'm Derek. We will see you next time here on Corey and Schultz on the ISC Sports Network.
At Bailey & Wood, we pride ourselves